a lovely little visit the other day, and I look forward to more visits while he's here for the rest of the week and week and a half to come. He is a student of yoga, meditation, and spiritualism, and has been doing so for more than 3 decades. He holds credentials as an ordained minister, certified medium, and teacher with the National Spiritualist Association of Churches. He travels extensively internationally, demonstrating his mediumship, conducting workshops and training programs for the development of psychic ability and spiritual healing. And this right here is his book. It's in the bookstore, and I have to tell you, I've read it, and I've used some of his techniques when I'm teaching classes. Very informative. And now I do welcome Reverend Stephen Hermann.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm really glad to be here. And I can think of all the decades coming to Castaiga. This is like the smallest number one service I've ever been to, including Wednesday nights. And it's quite interesting because if you look around the room, if you're clairvoyant, who do you see who's here? It's literally packed with spirit people. So there's more dead people here than alive people. And one of the things that happens when you're a medium, you may work at different churches or places. Sometimes the congregation of the church or the audience, depending on the venue, they're more dead than the spirit world. But what's really good is everyone's here. We're all alive physically, we're functioning through these physical bodies. There's not going to be an asteroid that's going to hit Castaiga in the next 10 minutes. And those in the world of the spirit are here as well, because we've set this appointment. We have the service every week, and it's a scheduled time for those in the spirit world to connect with us. So it's a really good thing if you come here eager and excited to communicate with the spirit world, because I can tell you, all of the personalities there, they are so enthusiastic about talking to people here, connecting with people here. And it's extremely challenging if you've gone over to the spirit world to try to somehow reach your loved ones and those you care about here. Can you imagine how difficult that is?
Yeah.
And what makes it difficult? It's lack of knowledge. That's a lot of it. But then the other thing is lack of awareness or sensitivity. Because sometimes even if someone's very, very intuitive, they're in denial of these abilities. They're clueless about it. Hopefully none of you are clueless. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. And the people in the spirit world, even if they were lacking understanding of this, they go to the spirit world, and they might have been completely atheistic in what happens. They have a very rude awakening.
Yeah.
So this movement of spiritualism was brought into this physical plane. It's always existed. The communication between the physical world, and if we go into any indigenous culture, there's always intermediaries, aren't there? There's people who function as mediums and healers. But if we go back in the mid-19th century, at least in Europe and in the States, what was all of like Orthodox Christianity, all these different denominations. Of course, you have the Church of Rome, all the Eastern Orthodox, but you have these Protestant denominations. Very, very rigid teaching theology, enslaving people's minds with the doctrine. And people get all hung up with the doctrine. I have to do this. I have to think this way. And those people down the street worshiping in that particular way, they're doing it the wrong way. And you know where they're going to wind up? So what spiritualism did is it brought this inspiration and this power from the world of the spirit. And it was unleashed in upstate New York, spread all over the states, and it went overseas. So by the mid-1850s, it was all over Europe. People were meeting. They were holding seances. How many of you have been to a seance before? And what do you think a seance is? It's not creepy.
No.
I guess it could be. But people have these ideas about what a seance is. But really, any type of group of people that gathers and connects for the purpose of connecting with the realm of spirit, that's a seance. In one sense, we could say this is. But of course, if 2 or 3 are gathered in the name of God, you have this dynamic, vibrant power that's there because you're not your physical body. And of course, if I was really, really psychic, I could make a prediction. And I could say to every single one here, and I'd be accurate, you're all going to kick the bucket. And, hopefully not anytime soon, but we're all going to make that journey, aren't we?
Yeah.
We have these physical bodies. Every cell, every 7 years, biologically, every molecule, chemically, it all changes. It's always in the state of flux. And ideally, as an individual, we want to be evolving, don't we? How we thought 10 years ago. Even if we think of some of the same things, we might hold some of the same perspectives on things. Hopefully, we've broadened our experience. So you have people in the spirit world, they might have been a bit clueless when they were here. They might have been exceptionally dysfunctional in a lot of cases. Do any of you know people who are dysfunctional? Do any of you work with people like that? Or maybe even within your own family?
Yeah.
They might be wonderful people,
Yeah.
but when it comes to their interpersonal relationships, when it comes to dealing with other people, they just aren't that developed. You could say that in a nice way. So what do you think happens to someone like that? Well, if they really want to get past those things, if they're able to recognize those issues, and of course, we place a lot of emphasis, the teachings of the spirit world, on responsibility of ourselves. What we do. We're the captains of our own ship. So if someone wants to change and grow, we have the free will to be able to do that, don't we?
Yeah.
But if you don't do it here, you go to the spirit world, you soon are, it's presented to you whether you like it or not, that you have to work on these types of things. And it's different for different people, but the people that come through from the spirit world, yes, it's the same personality who you might have connected with when they were here. But ideally, they're going to go into the spirit world and they're going to get the schooling they need or the therapy they need, the 50 years of psychotherapy they neglected. Does anyone need psychotherapy? And hopefully not, but the healing aspect of it is what this is all about. Someone will go to a medium and they have this entire agenda, especially here in Casadega, because it's a bit of a tourist attraction, isn't it? Is anyone here a tourist?
No.
Well, maybe none of them are coming today. But there's people who literally travel, maybe even internationally, out of the country. They'll come here because it's the vortex of the spirit power, and they come here. I want to hear from my mom, and they might go to 7 different mediums, and her mom never comes through with them. Greatly disappointed, but really. If there's things that you need to hear that will better you as an individual, if there's individuals that need to come through from the world of the spirit, when you book that appointment with the medium, the arrangements are already being orchestrated. They're already being set up by those in the world of spirit. And it's not necessarily what you want to hear. How many of you think it is? I want to hear from my mom. Then your aunt comes through. They hated the lady's guts, literally. And yet, that particular session with the medium, with aunt coming through, how much does that significantly help her with her growth? Because it's not just about you. It is about you, but it's also about those in the spirit world. Sometimes the session that takes place here in Casadega could be in this very room. Communication, it's more for the person in the spirit world. And people watch all these TV shows. Does anyone watch mediums on TV?
Yeah.
I mean, they go up to people and they're in the fast food restaurant, driving up, and they give the poor person giving them their order a message. You can get maced that way. Actually, that's one of the things. If you get into the development of this, you go to a class properly conducted by someone who's experienced. What are they going to tell you? They're going to help you to be able to turn it off and discipline it. Being in control of all of this. So we're not just open 24 hours, walking around, bringing people through. Otherwise, we'd be medicated and we'd probably be institutionalized. but with the spirit world, they want to reach us. So we have this gathering here today, And there's only so many of us here physically, but there's so many people who are here from the spirit world. And if they're going to communicate, they have to learn the process. There are helpers, there are specialists in the dimension of spirit that actually facilitate your loved ones or people connected to you coming through. I can think of times, here in Casadega even, I have got a client I'm working with, sitting right across from me, right in front of me. And in my peripheral vision, not physical vision, but clairvoyant vision, I'm aware of that there's spirit people there. And they're just sitting there. And they're watching what's taking place. They're observing the session. And simultaneously, I'm aware that those people who are there watching the session, they're not connected to me. They're not anyone who works with me in any way, with my mediumship. And they're not people that are connected to the person I'm working with, the client. The reason why these people are watching the session is because they're going to be coming through a medium, and they're learning the process. And that medium they're coming from, they may be in the UK or Japan or God knows where. But those individuals, prior to the session, they have to learn the process. And we can see some people in the spirit world, they make really good communicators, just like here. I think if we got everyone to come up here and give a 2-minute talk, how many of you would feel comfortable doing this? How many of you can articulate things pretty well? But see, not everyone's extroverted. Some people are just very, very outgoing with their energy. And they go to the spirit world. That quality within their personality, it makes them a good communicator. The other thing is what kind of, what are we dealing with when we're dealing with spirit communication? It's telepathic, mind-to-mind communication. So if I was in the spirit world and I really resonated, I'm on the same page as the medium, we're really harmonious on the same wavelength, don't you think scientifically, energetically, that it would be very easy to come through that medium? And yet, you have someone where, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be caught dead in the same room with them. And that's who they chose to go to a reading for. They might be able to bring me through, but the fullness or the completeness of the personality might not be quite as dynamic. Has anyone had that happen? You go to a medium, and the medium might be world famous. Costs quite a bit, that $500 for the 15-minute session. And they're a very good medium, hopefully. And it's just like, it's kind of vague. It's just not what it could be. Now, there's a lot of factors with that. But a lot of it, people don't understand that. So if you go to a medium, and let's just say, the brother you want to hear from does come through, chances are that medium is very, very, very good as an instrument for bringing through that specific spirit person. So much goes into making this happen. And the biggest thing that we can bring into this type of situation is the love that we have within our own heart. Because why do they want to come through? It's out of love, it's out of concern for us. So even someone where you just don't have such a harmonious, functional relationship when they're here, they wise up. They end up broadening their perspective. They don't just stay stuck in one place for a long time. Sometimes it's a bit longer than it should be or it could be. But as they get in touch with higher teachers in the spirit world, as they start to connect with compassionate healers, there are souls in the spirit world who dedicated, it's like a ministry, they've dedicated their lives to helping people with healing. And of course in the spirit world, it's not a physical type of healing. It's a mental and an emotional state that sometimes people bring in. They may be in a situation here and it's just unexpectedly they pass over. There's all this emotional turmoil and baggage that they bring with them. So there are those in the spirit world who work with the healing. And of course, we have the hands-on healing here that takes place during the spiritual service. And if we were to clairvoyantly tune into those healers, what would we see? We would be aware of the individuals in the spirit world. We could say they're healers, healing angels, spirit doctors. It doesn't really matter the terminology because their motivation is there out of compassion out of the desire to serve. All of what we deal with within this movement of spiritualism, it's completely logical, it's scientific, and it really is something it's not this it's just not like some fabrication that takes or delusion that takes place as a product of our own mind. And that's why the training is really important, because they're communicating mentally with this. So you can just imagine if someone couldn't tell the difference between their own imagination and what was actually coming through from the world of the spirit. So it's really good that we're all here today, because the power here is phenomenal, isn't it?
Yes.
And this power, we want to tap into this. We have this service, we have another one after it, where different mediums will work, but you want to tap into this power. You want to spend the time praying and meditating, raising your vibration up, and talking to the spirit world. Now, you can go to a medium, that's great, because they don't get, it's not like when we have our own problems or emotions or analytical mind can get in the way. But if you talk to the spirit world, just like I'm talking right now, hopefully don't do it in public because people might think you're a bit nuts. But if you talk to the spirit world, I can guarantee you that they will communicate back with you. They will start to put thoughts, literally, on an intuitive level. You'll get these feelings. And it will be different from your own thoughts. That's why the meditation is very important. And you learn to still and quiet the mind and get that analytical part of all the clutter that gets in the way. So I want to encourage all of you. This place is fantastic. I would suggest, if you're interested in this, learning more, there's a lot of mediums here at the camp that teach weekly classes. There's a lot of healers here in the camp who channel the healing and work with it. So if you have some type of personal problem, it's not like you have to spend a lot of money. You can come here. The idea behind Casadega, it's a service to God. It's to help other people. And the resources here are phenomenal. It's amazing, this place. It's been going on over a century, and we can imagine 100 years from now, probably right in this very hall, there will be meetings like this being held. And you never know, you might be one of the spirits that's there coming through one of your loved ones. So may God bless each and every one of you.